cold. That was the first thing General Park felt, a deep, bone-chilling cold that seemed to reach into his very soul. Then came the light, harsh and bright against his closed eyelids. His body felt heavy, like it was made of stone. Each breath was a struggle at first, his lungs remembering how to work after a long time of not being used. "General Park? Can you hear me?" The voice came from far away, or so it seemed. Park forced his eyes open. The world was blurry at first. Slowly, shapes began to form. A face looked down at him. Not a human face. The skin was blue, with small ridges where eyebrows should be. The eyes were large and completely black. "General Park Ji-won, are you awake?" the blue being asked again. Park tried to speak, but his throat was dry. A small cup was placed at his lips, and he drank. The water was cool and sweet. After a few sips, he tried again. "Where am I?" His voice was rough from lack of use. "You are aboard the Galactic Confederation flagship, the Starseeker," the blue being said. "I am Admiral Tail. You have been in cryosleep for 87 years, 4 months, and 16 days. Park blinked. The fog in his mind began to clear. Memories came back. Earth, the first contact war. The aliens who came not in peace, but to test humanity's strength. The battles he had led, the final peace treaty, and then the offer from the aliens. Join their confederation, but keep their best military minds in storage for when they were needed. "Why wake me now?" Park asked, pushing himself up into a sitting position. His muscles worked, but they felt strange, like they belonged to someone else. Admiral Tail's face grew serious. "We are at war, General. A war we are losing." Park nodded. That made sense. That was the deal, after all. Humans would join the Confederation, but their generals would sleep until needed. A strange arrangement, but it had seemed right at the time. Humans were good at war. Too good, maybe. But in a peaceful galaxy, such skills were not needed often. "Help me up," Park said. 2 aides, 1 human and 1 alien, helped Park stand. His legs shook at first, but grew stronger with each step. He was dressed in a simple white medical gown. "Your uniform is ready," Admiral Tail said, pointing to a neat stack of clothes on a nearby table. "And a meal has been prepared. You must be hungry." Park was hungry. Very hungry. But first he needed to know more. "Tell me about this war while I dress," he said. Admiral Tail turned his back as Park began to change. "The enemy is called the HFY Collective. They are not like us, not like any living beings. They are machines with minds made of code. For hundreds of years they stayed in their own space. But 6 months ago, they began to attack our outer colonies." Park pulled on the uniform. It was not an Earth military uniform, but a Confederation one. Dark blue with silver trim. It fit perfectly. "Why are they attacking?" Park asked. "They believe that all organic life is inefficient, wasteful. They want to convert our planets, our resources, and even our bodies into more machines. More of them." Park frowned as he fastened the last button on his jacket. "And you're losing?" Admiral Tail turned back to face him. The alien looked tired, Park realized. Stressed. "Yes, we are losing. The Void Collective thinks as one mind. Perfect. Teamwork. No fear. No doubt. Our ships are strong, but they fight as individuals. The Collective adapts to our tactics faster than we can create new ones." Park nodded. He understood. It was why they had kept human generals in cryo-sleep. Other species in the galaxy had been at peace for too long. They had forgotten how to fight wars where the stakes were everything. Humans had not. "Take me to the command center," Park said. "I need to see the battle maps, the enemy positions, our forces." "Of course, General Park. This way." They walked through bright, clean hallways. The ship was huge, much bigger than any Earth vessel Park had known. Crew members stopped and stared as they passed. Some looked hopeful, others looked scared. "They know who I am," Park said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," Admiral Tail replied. They know a human general has been awakened. It means the war is serious. Very serious. I'm not the first, am I? Park asked. Not the first human you've woken up for war. Admiral Tail shook his head. No, there was General Kim Dae-hyun for the Scythed incursion, Admiral Lee Suman against the Krell Armada, Colonel Yoon Ji-hoo to retake the Outer Rim. Each time we faced enemies we could not defeat alone. Each time human military minds saved us. And then you put them back to sleep, Park said, when the war was over. Yes, that was the agreement. Humans would join us in peace but keep their warlike nature contained, available when needed but not shaping our culture in times of peace. They reached a large door. It opened without a touch, sliding silently apart. Inside was a room filled with screens and star maps. Officers of many species worked at stations. All fell silent when Park entered. A young human woman stepped forward. Her uniform was different from the others, showing she was from Earth. She saluted Park sharply. General Park. Captain Kang Mina, sir. I've been assigned as your aide during this campaign. Park returned the salute. Captain, you were born after my time? Yes, sir. I was born on New Earth Colony. My great-grandfather served under you in the First Contact War. Park felt a strange sadness. Everyone he had known was gone. Dead for decades, he was a man out of time. But there was no time to dwell on that now. Show me what we're facing, Captain, he said. Captain Kang led him to the main display. A large 3D map showed the galaxy. Blue lights showed Confederation, worlds and ships. Red showed the Void Collective. There was too much red. They've taken 12 major systems in the past 6 months, she explained. 3 more are under attack now. How do they fight? Park asked. Show me their battle tactics. For the next hour, Park watched recordings of battles. He saw Confederation ships fighting bravely but losing. The machine ships moved in perfect formation. They sacrificed themselves without hesitation when it served the greater plan. They adapted to each new tactic the Confederation tried. Finally, Park straightened up. He'd seen enough. Admiral Tail, he said. I'll need complete control of your forces. The blue alien nodded. You have it, General. The War Council has given you full authority. Good. Because we're going to fight in ways these machines have never seen. Human ways. Park turned to Captain Kang. Captain, I'll need everything you have on their communication systems. How they talk to each other, how they coordinate. Yes. Sir? Right away. Admiral, Park continued. Prepare your commanders for new orders. We're going to tear up the rule book. These machines expect logic, order. We'll give them chaos. Humans have been fighting against the odds since we first picked up stones against predators. We never forgot how to win when losing is not an option. For the first time, Admiral Tile smiled. This is why we wake a human general any time there's a war, General Park. This is exactly why. Park looked back at the star map. At all the red, lights threatening to swallow the blue. Then let's show these machines why that's a good policy. The Void Collective is about to learn what happens when they pick a fight with humanity. 1 month after the victory at Proxima Ridge, the news had spread across the galaxy. The Telosians, once mocked as weak, had defeated a Geeklar battle fleet. At first, many didn't believe it. Some thought it was just a lucky accident. But then, the Telosians won again, and again. On the bridge of the Eternal Light, Science Officer Tay showed Commander June and Captain Kang a map of the sector. Blue areas, Telosian space, were growing larger. Red areas, Geeklar territory, were shrinking. We've taken back 3 star systems in 4 weeks, Tay said, her face markings bright with pride. Mining operations on Series 7 are running again. 2,000 refugees have returned home. Captain Kang studied the map with a serious face. The Geeklar are adapting to our tactics. Each battle is harder than the last. This was true. The latest battle had cost them 2 ships, 1 Telosian, 1 human. The crews had escaped in life pods, but the loss still hurt. They're studying our movements, June agreed. They've started to copy some of our maneuvers. Kang nodded. That's why we need to change our approach again. Humans have a saying, never fight the same battle twice. In a large training room nearby, Lieutenant Ji Young was teaching a new group of Talosian officers. But unlike earlier training sessions, these officers weren't learning about ship movements or weapons. They were learning about decision-making. In traditional Talosian fleets, every decision comes from the commander, Ji Young explained. But that creates a weakness. If communication is cut off, ships don't know what to do. The Talosian officers looked uncomfortable. Their entire military was built on clear chains of command and careful planning. In human fleets, Ji Young continued, every ship captain can make decisions if needed. We call it initiative. Each officer knows the mission goal and can choose how to achieve it if something unexpected happens. One Talosian officer raised a hand. But what if they make the wrong choice? What if they ruin the plan? Ji Young smiled. Sometimes they will. That's part of learning. But often they'll find solutions a central commander would never see. The officer on the scene has the best view of what's happening there. This idea spread through the Talosian fleet over the following weeks. Junior officers were encouraged to make decisions in simulations. They made mistakes, learned from them, and slowly gained confidence. Meanwhile, in the science labs, Dr. Jun worked with Talosian researchers on a different kind of discovery. Humans have something we've never seen before, Science Officer Tay told a group of Talosian leaders. Their brains actually work better under stress. She showed brain scans of humans during battle simulations. When faced with danger, human reaction times improve. Their pattern recognition gets faster. They call it adrenaline response. Dr. Jun nodded. It evolved on Earth because of our dangerous environment. When threatened, humans either fight better or run faster. Can Talosians learn this? Asked Elder Suk. Not physically, Dr. Jun admitted. Your biology is different, but the mental patterns can be trained. Soon, Talosian crews were practicing what humans called stress response training. They ran simulations where things went wrong on purpose. Engines failed, weapons stopped working, communication systems broke down. At first, the Talosians panicked in these situations. But over time, they learned to think clearly even when everything went wrong. 2 months after the first victory, the Geeklar launched their biggest attack yet. 20 warships, a third of their entire fleet, headed for the main Talosian world. This was no raid or border skirmish. It was an all-out assault meant to end the war. The Talosian-Human Alliance had only 15 ships to defend against this massive force. Even with their improved tactics and technology, the numbers looked bad. Commander Jun stood in the war room with Captain Kang, Lieutenant Ji Young, and the other leaders as they planned their defense. They expect us to make a stand at the main planet, Kang said. That's where our families are, our government centers. Jun nodded grimly. And if we don't defend it, we lose everything. Or, said Lieutenant Ji Young with a small smile, they just think that's what we'll do. She pointed to another star system on the map. The Geeklar must pass through the Vega Nebula to reach Telos Prime. The nebula is filled with energy storms and radiation. Terrible place for a battle, Jun noted. Exactly, Ji Young agreed. That's why they won't expect us to choose it, but those energy storms can be used against them. Science Officer Tay looked excited. If we place energy receivers at these coordinates, we could channel the nebula's radiation into a directed pulse. The plan they created was the boldest yet. It combined Talosian scientific knowledge with human tactical thinking in a way neither species would have imagined alone. 2 days later, the Geeklar fleet entered the Vega Nebula. As predicted, they didn't expect an attack in such a dangerous location. Their ships moved in tight formation, shields raised against the nebula's natural radiation. They didn't notice the small devices that Talosian ships had placed throughout the nebula hours earlier. They didn't see the human vessels hiding behind dense gas clouds, engines cold. When the Geeklar reached the center of the nebula, Captain Kang gave the signal. Now, Tay activated the energy receivers. They pulled in the nebula's wild radiation and focused it into a powerful pulse that washed over the Geeklar fleet. Shield systems overloaded. Navigation computers failed. Communication between Geeklar ships cut off. In the confusion, the Telosian and human ships attacked from multiple directions. They didn't target the Geeklar ship's weapons or engines as usual. Instead, they aimed for a new target, the ship's internal gravity systems. This was Tay's idea. Geeklar warriors were huge and heavily built, evolved for a high-gravity world. Without artificial gravity in their ships, they could barely move. Ship after ship of the Geeklar fleet went dark as gravity failed, and warriors floated helplessly. Inside, no shots were fired at the disabled vessels. No lives were taken. But the mighty attack force was neutralized. When it was over, 17 Geeklar warships were captured intact. Only 3 had escaped to warn their leaders. The Telosian human alliance had won the biggest battle of the war without destroying a single enemy ship. News of this victory spread across the galaxy like fire. Species that had ignored the Telosians now sent messages of congratulation. Trade. Ships that had avoided Telosian space now arrived with goods and offers of business. Most shocking of all, the Galactic Council, which had refused to help the Telosians for so long, now sent a diplomatic delegation. The council representatives arrived on Telos Prime with grand ceremonies and fine speeches. They spoke of the valued Telosian people and the importance of cultural diversity in the galaxy. They did not mention how they had abandoned the Telosians to die just months earlier. Commander June and Captain Kang stood side by side as the council's main speaker, a tall being named Orcs, addressed the Telosian leaders. The Galactic Council wishes to formally recognize the sovereign rights of the Telosian people, Orcs announced. We offer military protection and favorable trade agreements. All we ask is that you share your new defense technology with Council forces. Elder Sook listened politely, her face giving away nothing. When Orcs finished, she spoke calmly. The Council's offer is noted. However, the Telosian people are no longer in need of protection. Our alliance with humanity has proven more valuable than the Council's empty promises. Orcs looked shocked. No small power had ever rejected Council protection before. But the humans are not members of the galactic community, Orcs sputtered. They have no standing, no history among the stars. They stood with us when no one else would, Elder Sook replied. That is the only history that matters. After the council delegation left, Captain Kang found Commander June looking out at the stars from a quiet observation deck. The Geeklar have sent peace offers, Kang said. Their leaders want to meet. June nodded. The war is turning in our favor. But something bothers me. What's that? The galaxy that mocked us now fears us, June said. Is that really what we wanted? Kang considered this. There's a difference between being feared and being respected. The Geeklar are feared because they destroy. The Telosian human alliance is respected because we could destroy, but choose not to. This was true. Not a single Geeklar ship had been destroyed in the Vega Nebula battle. No Geeklar warriors had died. The alliance had simply neutralized the threat. We're building something new, Kang continued. Not just a military alliance, but a new way for species to interact. The Telosians' compassion and scientific minds, humanity's adaptability and determination. Together, we're stronger than either would be alone. Later that evening, as the stars came out over Telos Prime, humans and Telosians gathered to celebrate their latest victory. There was music, the complex harmonies of Telosian songs mixing with the simpler but emotional melodies of Earth. There was food from both worlds. There was laughter. Lieutenant Ji Young found Commander June watching the celebration from a distance. 3 months ago, your people thought they would be extinct by now, she said. Instead, you're dictating peace terms to the Geeklar. June nodded. The galaxy that mocked us now wants to be our friend. And what will you tell them? Ji Young asked. June looked at the humans and Telosians celebrating together. 2 species from different ends of the galaxy, with different biologies and histories now bound together by Choi. 2 weeks after the first meeting between humans and Telosians, the main hangar of the Eternal Light buzzed with activity. Telosian engineers worked side by side with human technicians. They were taking apart a Telosian scout ship and adding new parts to it. Commander Jun walked through the busy hangar, watching with interest. He stopped beside military advisor Hyun, who was showing a group of Telosian pilots something on a small screen. "The key is to be unpredictable," Hyun was saying. "Geeklar ships are powerful, but they follow set patterns. They expect you to either run away in a straight line or stand and fight. They don't expect you to do this." He showed a flight pattern that looked like a dance. Quick turns, sudden drops, spiral movements. The Telosian pilots looked confused. "Our ships can't move like that," said one pilot. "The systems won't allow such sharp turns," Hyun smiled. "Not yet, but they will when we're done with them." June approached the group. "How are the modifications coming along?" "Better than expected, Commander," Hyun replied. "Telosian technology is elegant, very clean, very efficient, but also too perfect," June suggested. "Exactly." Hyun nodded. "Your ships are designed like scientific instruments. Every system is optimized for normal conditions. But combat isn't normal. In combat, you need redundancy, backup systems, manual overrides." June understood. Telosians had always valued elegance and efficiency in their designs. Why have two systems when one perfect system would do? But humans thought differently. They planned for failure, for the unexpected. "Come see what we've done to the first scout ship," Hyun said, leading June toward a vessel in the corner of the hangar. The small Telosian scout ship looked strange now. Its once smooth hull had new bumps and angles. Inside, the clean control panel now had additional switches and displays. "We've added manual controls," Hyun explained. "Your ships rely too much on central computers. What happens if the main computer is damaged?" "The ship becomes useless," June admitted. "Not anymore." Hyun pointed to the new controls. "Now pilots can bypass the main computer and fly manually if needed. We've also added backup power systems and reinforced the shield generators." On the other side of the hangar, Science Officer Tae was working with Dr. Jun. They stood before a large screen showing Geeklar ship designs. "Their main weapon systems draw power from here," Tae explained, pointing to a section of the diagram. "When they fire, they have to reduce shield strength in this area for 2.3 seconds. Dr. Jun nodded, impressed. "You've analyzed their technology in great detail." "We had to," Tae said. "But knowing their weaknesses wasn't enough. We never had the tactical knowledge to use this information effectively. That's what humans bring to this alliance," Dr. Jun said. "Telosians see patterns and develop amazing technology. Humans find ways to use that knowledge in unexpected ways." Across the ship, in the main training hall, Lieutenant Ji Young was teaching Telosian crews a new way to think about space combat. "Forget everything you know about proper space battles," she told them. "The Geeklar want you to fight according to their rules because their rules favor the stronger force. We need to change the rules." She showed them battle simulations where smaller forces defeated larger ones by using the environment, hiding in asteroid fields, using planetary rings as cover, or flying close to stars to disrupt enemy sensors. "Humans call it asymmetric warfare," Ji Young explained. "When you cannot match your enemy's strength, you change the nature of the battlefield." The Telosians watched with growing excitement. They had always been taught that space battles were straightforward. The side with more ships and stronger weapons would win. But humans saw space itself as a weapon. Later that day, Commander Jun met with Captain Kang in the strategy room. The walls displayed maps of the sector, showing Geeklar territory in red, Telosian in blue, and neutral zones in gray. The red area was much larger than the blue. "The Geeklar will respond soon," Jun said. "They lost 3 warships at Noval Station. Their pride won't allow that to go unanswered." Captain Kang nodded. "We're counting on it. In fact, we want them to attack again, but we'll choose where and when." He touched the map, and a small star system at the edge of Telosian space lit up. "Proxima Ridge," Kang said. "It has minimal civilian presence but valuable mining operations. The Geeklar will want to take it. We'll let them think they can." June studied the star system. It had a dense asteroid belt and strong radiation from its unstable sun. Not an ideal place for a battle by Telosian standards. "You want to set a trap?" June realized. Exactly. The asteroids will limit their movement, the radiation will disrupt their long-range sensors, and we'll have modified 6 Telosian cruisers by then, plus 3 human ships. June felt a mix of hope and worry. This plan went against everything Telosians believed about fair combat. But then again, the Geeklar had never fought fairly. Will your people accept these new tactics? Kang asked, noticing June's hesitation. They go against Telosian traditions. June thought about his people, their culture, their values, their art and science. All of it would be lost if the Geeklar conquered them. To save our way of life, June said slowly, we must be willing to change how we fight. My people will understand that. 3 days later, the first modified Telosian ship, renamed Swift Wind, was ready for a test flight. Commander June joined Captain Kang and Lieutenant Ji Young in the observation room as a Telosian pilot named Rin took the bow. Controls. The handling will be different, Ji Young warned through the communication system. Much more responsive than before. I understand, Rin replied, though she sounded nervous. The Swift Wind lifted off smoothly and exited the hangar. At first, it moved just like any Telosian ship, elegant and precise. Then, following Ji Young's instructions, Rin tried the new controls. The ship suddenly dropped, spun, and changed direction in ways that Telosian ships had never moved before. In the observation room, June felt dizzy just watching it. Incredible. Rin's voice came through, sounding excited now. The ship responds instantly. I can feel it like it's part of me. That's the idea, Ji Young said, smiling. Humans design our ships to feel like extensions of our bodies. Now yours do too. Over the next week, more Telosian ships were modified and crews trained in the new combat techniques. The work was hard, and many Telosians struggled to adapt to the human way of thinking. But each day brought progress. Then, as Captain Kang had predicted, the Geeklar launched a major attack. A fleet of 15 warships headed straight for Proxima Ridge. The trap was set. As the Geeklar fleet approached, they detected only 3 Telosian ships defending the mining operations. Easy targets, or so they thought. What they didn't know was that 6 more ships, 3 Telosian and 3 human, were hiding in the asteroid belt, their engines cold, waiting. From the bridge of the Eternal Light, Commander June watched the tactical display with Elder Suk and the human advisors. This would be the first real test of their alliance. The Geeklar have taken the bait, reported Lieutenant Ji Young. They're moving into position to attack the defenders. Our ships are holding position, looking afraid but determined, Captain Kang noted. Very convincing. June felt tense. So much depended on this battle. If they lost, the Telosians would lose faith in the human alliance. If they won, it would change everything. The Geeklar ships opened fire on the 3 defending Telosian vessels. But instead of staying to fight or running away in a straight line as expected, the Telosian ships scattered in 3 different directions, moving with the new agility given to them by human modifications. They're confused, Ji Young said, watching the Geeklar response. Their formation is breaking up to chase our ships, just as we planned. As the Geeklar ships separated to pursue, Captain Kang gave the signal. Now! The hidden ships powered up and burst from the asteroid belt. They caught the scattered Geeklar vessels from behind, firing the new human-designed weapons that disrupted Geeklar shields. On the tactical display, June watched as Geeklar ships lost power one by one. The Telosian crews executed their new tactics perfectly, using asteroids as shields, making unpredictable movements, and coordinating their attacks. Within 20 minutes, the battle was over. 12 Geeklar ships were disabled. 3 had managed to escape. Not a single Telosian or human ship was destroyed. A cheer went up throughout the Eternal Light when the results were announced. Officers and crew members embraced each other, their face markings bright with joy and pride. Elder Suk turned to Captain Kang, her eyes shining. You've given us more than ships and weapons, Captain. You've given us a new way of thinking. Kang shook his head. We've shown you a different path, but the courage to take it was always yours. Later, as news of the victory spread through Telosian space, something changed. People who had been preparing for the end of their civilization began to hope again. The mood on Telosian worlds shifted from despair to determination. In his private quarters, Commander June recorded a message for all Telosian ships and colonies. Today we have shown the galaxy that Telosians are not weak. Our strength comes not from aggression or cruelty, but from our ability to learn, to adapt, and to choose the right allies. The Giklar thought they could easily destroy us. The Galactics. Council thought we weren't worth saving. They were wrong. He paused, thinking of how much had changed in just a few weeks. Humans call it asymmetric warfare, using your eunuch. The main meeting hall of the Eternal Light had never felt so tense. Commander June stood near Elder Sook as they waited for the human visitors to arrive. Guards lined the walls, though June wondered what good they would do if these humans turned out to be enemies. They had disabled a Giklar scout ship with ease. "Do you think we can trust them?" Mina whispered beside him. June watched the large metal doors. "We have little choice. But that display of power against the Giklar, they could have destroyed us any time if they wanted to." The doors slid open. 5 humans entered the room, led by Captain Kang. Up close, humans were even stranger than they appeared on screens. They walked with a confident stride that seemed almost aggressive to Telosian eyes. Their faces changed expressions quickly, muscles moving in ways that Telosian faces could not. Captain Kang wore a dark blue uniform with small silver symbols on the collar. Behind him walked 2 more humans in similar clothing and 2 in what appeared to be armor, though much lighter than Giklar battle gear. "Elder Sook, Commander June," Captain Kang said with a slight bow. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. May I introduce my team?" The humans stepped forward one by one as Kang named them. Lieutenant Ji Young, our tactical officer. A female human with short black hair nodded sharply. Her eyes scanned the room quickly, noting exits and guard positions. A warrior's eyes, June thought. Dr. Jun, our chief science officer. This human was taller, with a gentle face and curious eyes that reminded June of Telosian scholars. Security Chief Hyun and Security Officer Dai. The 2 armored humans nodded but remained alert, standing slightly behind the others. Elder Sook stepped forward. "We welcome you aboard the Eternal Light, flagship of what remains of the Telosian fleet. I have brought our top officials to this meeting." She introduced Science Officer Tae, Fleet Admiral Sook, and the others. The humans listened with respect, showing none of the impatience that Giklar representatives always displayed during diplomatic meetings. "Please be seated," Elder Sook said, gesturing to the round table. As they all sat down, June noticed that the humans seemed perfectly comfortable with Telosian furniture, despite their different body shape. They must have studied Telosian culture carefully before making contact. "Let me be direct," Elder Sook began. "Your demonstration against the Giklar ship was impressive. But we must ask, why would humans, a species unknown to us until today, want to ally with the Telosians? The galaxy sees us as weak. Helping us might make you enemies of the Giklar Confederacy." Captain Kang nodded. "A fair question. The simple answer is that humans have been observing galactic politics for decades. We've kept our presence hidden, learning about the different species and powers. What we've seen troubles us." Dr. Jun spoke next, his voice softer than the captain's. "The Giklar represent a philosophy that humanity rejected centuries ago, that might makes right, that the strong should dominate the weak. We've learned through painful history that such thinking leads only to destruction." "And the Telosians?" June asked. "What do you see in us?" Lieutenant Ji Young leaned forward. "Potential. Your technology's advanced in ways that Earth is still developing. Your medical science alone is worth protecting. But more than that, your values align with the best of humanities." "We have values too," Captain Kang added. "We believe in self-determination. That every species has the right to choose its own path. The Giklar are taking that right from you, and the Galactic Council is allowing it to happen." Science Officer Tae, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "You said you've been watching us for how long? And how did you remain undetected by the Galactic Registry?" Dr. Jun smiled. "Earth is located in what your star charts would call the Orion Arm, far from the main travel routes. Our system has few valuable resources by galactic standards. As for how long we've been watching, we intercepted our first Telosian transmission about 40 Earth years ago. This news shocked the Telosians. 40 years was nearly half a lifetime for their people. As for why no one found us, Captain Kang continued. Humans evolved on what you would call a death world. Our planet has extreme environmental conditions compared to most life-bearing worlds. Most spacefaring species would find Earth uncomfortable, or even dangerous. A death world? Admiral Sook asked, sounding surprised. But you look so fragile. Lieutenant Ji Young laughed, a sharp sound that startled the Telosians. Appearances can be deceiving, Admiral. Humans evolved alongside predators that would hunt us, in climates that would freeze or burn us, through diseases that would kill millions. We survived because we adapted, we cooperated, and when necessary, we fought. The room fell silent as the Telosians processed this information. These peaceful-looking beings came from a world that forged them through constant danger. You still haven't explained what you want from us, Commander June said. Captain Kang nodded again. As I said before, a fair exchange. We offer military strategy, tactical support, and additional ships. Earth has a small fleet, but our vessels are built for combat. In return, we hope to learn from your scientific and cultural achievements. Telosian medical technology alone could save millions of human lives. Elder Sook looked troubled. You speak of military assistance, but Telosians are not warriors. We never have been. Our ships are designed for exploration and trade, not war. With respect, Elder, Lieutenant Ji Young said. That must change if your people are to survive. We don't propose to turn Telosians into soldiers like the Geeklar, but we can teach you to defend yourselves effectively. A soft alarm sounded, and a screen on the wall lit up. It showed 3 Geeklar warships approaching a small Telosian colony on the outer edge of their remaining territory. They're attacking Novel Station, Admiral Sook said, rising quickly. There are 2,000 civilians there. The mood in the room changed instantly from diplomatic discussion to crisis. The Telosian officials began issuing orders to evacuate the station, but everyone knew their ships wouldn't arrive in time. Captain, Kang touched a device on his wrist. Pathfinder, this is Kang. Alert the Horizon and the Defender. Geeklar warships attacking Telosian colony at these coordinates. Move to intercept. He looked at Elder Sook. You said we might make enemies of the Geeklar by helping you. It seems we're about to do exactly that. The Telosians watched in amazement as the screen showed 2 human ships appearing near Novel Station. They were larger than the Pathfinder, but still smaller than Geeklar warships. Yet they moved with incredible speed, positioning themselves between the station and the approaching enemy. Your ships were nearby? June asked, suspicious again. Security Chief Yun spoke for the first time, his voice deep. We came prepared for this meeting, Commander. Earth doesn't send diplomatic missions without protection. The room watched in tense silence as the battle unfolded on the screen. The Geeklar ships fired their main weapons, powerful energy beams that could cut through Telosian shields in seconds. But the human ships didn't try to block the attack. Instead, they moved out of the way with surprising agility for vessels their size. Human ships prioritize maneuverability, Lieutenant Ji Young explained as they watched. We can't match Geeklar firepower directly, so we don't try to. The human ships fired what looked like small projectiles toward the Geeklar vessels. When they hit, they released a pulse of energy that disrupted the Geeklar shields. Electromagnetic pulse warheads, Security Officer Day said with pride. Designed to disable rather than destroy. Within minutes, all 3 Geeklar ships were drifting powerless in space. Not a single shot had reached Novel Station. The Telosian officials stared at the screen in disbelief. For months they had been losing battle after battle to the Geeklar. Now these humans had defeated 3 warships without even damaging them. This is just the beginning, Captain Kang said quietly. With proper training and some modifications to your ships, Telosians can learn to fight this way too. Elder Sook turned to face the human captain. Her face markings, which had been pale with fear and stress for months, now showed a bright blue of determination. It seems, Captain Kang, that we have much to discuss about this alliance. Dr. Jun smiled. On Earth we have a saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But we hope to be more than just convenient allies against the Geeklar. Humans and Telosians share a vision of the galaxy where knowledge and culture are valued above conquest. Commander Jun watched as the human and Telosian leaders began discussing details of their cooperation. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to feel something he had almost forgotten. Hope. The galaxy had mocked the Telosians, calling them weak for valuing peace and knowledge. But perhaps what looked like weakness to the Geeklar was actually strength of a different kind, the strength to hold on to your values even when threatened. And perhaps these humans, these strange beings from a death world, understood that better than anyone. As the meeting continued, word spread throughout. The ship about the successful defense of Novel Station. Crew members gathered in corridors, sharing the news with disbelieving joy. The Geeklar had been defeated. The Telosians had found allies. Jun caught Lieutenant Ji Young watching him. The human tactical officer gave him a small nod. The galaxy will not mock the Telosians much longer, Commander, she said quietly. Not when they see what our peoples can accomplish together. Commander Jun stood alone on the observation deck of the Telosian flagship Eternal Light. His three-fingered hands clasped tightly behind his back as he stared at the stars. The view should have been beautiful. Instead, all he saw was danger. Each point of light might hide enemy ships ready to attack his people. The Telosian people were in trouble. Big trouble. Commander, a soft voice called from behind him. The council meeting is about to start. Jun turned to see Lieutenant Mina. Her blue skin looked pale with worry. The markings on her face, once bright with pride, had faded in recent months. Like all Telosians, stress affected their body markings. Thank you, Mina. I'll be right there, Jun said. As they walked through the ship's corridors, crew members stepped aside and bowed their heads slightly. Not from respect, Jun thought, but from fear. They knew what everyone knew. The Telosian people were running out of time. The main council chamber was full when Jun arrived. 5 Telosian leaders sat around a round table, their faces grim. The large screen in front of them was a map of Telosian space. It used to show 30 star systems. Now it showed only 3. Commander Jun, please give us your report, said Elder Suk, her voice tired. Jun stepped forward. The Geeklar have taken the mining outpost on Series 7. We lost contact with the 50 workers there. We don't know if they are dead or captured. Sad murmur went through the room. More losses. More Telosian lives gone. Their ships were too many. Jun continued. Our defense fleet fought bravely, but we had to retreat. We saved 3 transport ships with civilians. And the Galactic Council. Will they help us? Asked Elder Suk. Science Officer Tay stood up, holding a data pad. I received their answer an hour ago. They have rejected our request for aid again. The room fell silent. This was their 4th request for help. The Galactic Council controlled thousands of star systems. They had the power to stop the Geeklar attacks. But they chose not to. Did they give a reason? Elder Suk asked. The same as before, Tay said, reading from the pad. The Telosian situation is unfortunate but does not warrant intervention. The Council suggests peaceful surrender to avoid further loss of life. Commander Jun's markings flashed angry red. Surrender? To the Geeklar? Everyone knows what they do to conquered people. The Geeklar Confederacy was known throughout the galaxy as brutal conquerors. They didn't just take resources or land. They destroyed cultures. They erased histories. A species that surrendered to the Geeklar stopped being themselves. We have always been peaceful, Elder Suk said quietly. For thousands of years we explored, we learned. We created art and music. We never built war fleets. We never conquered other worlds. And now the galaxy watches as we are destroyed and they do nothing. The truth was painful but clear. The galaxy mocked the Telosians, called them weak, said they deserved their fate for not being strong or aggressive enough. We have 1 month of food supplies left, reported another council member. The Giklar have cut off our trade routes. No one will trade with us anymore. They fear the Giklar will attack them too. June looked around the room. The Telosians were tall, slender beings with blue skin and large, thoughtful eyes. Their society valued knowledge, art, and harmony. They had the most advanced medical technology in the known galaxy. Their music was famous for its beauty. Their architecture inspired awe, and none of that mattered now. The galaxy had decided they were too weak to survive. What options do we have left? Elder Sook asked. Silence filled the room. No one had answers. Then, suddenly, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed along the walls. We're detecting an unknown ship entering our space, called a voice over the communication system. Commander June rushed to the nearest console. The others gathered around him. Is it Giklar? Tay asked, her voice shaking. June studied the readings. No, it's nothing like their ships. This design, I've never seen anything like it. On the screen they watched as a strange vessel approached. It was smaller than their ships but looked sturdy. It had odd angles and what appeared to be weapons, yet somehow it didn't seem threatening. It moved with surprising speed and grace. Are they responding to our identification request? Elder Sook asked. Yes, June said, surprised. They're transmitting. Now. The screen changed to show the interior of the unknown ship. Standing there was a being none of them had ever seen before. It stood on 2 legs and had 2 arms. Its skin was a soft brown color. No scales, no fur, just smooth skin. It wore some kind of uniform with unfamiliar symbols. This is Captain Kang of the Earth exploration vessel Pathfinder, the being said in a clear voice, somehow translated into perfect Telosian. We come in peace and offer friendship to the Telosian people. The council chamber erupted in confused talk. What was Earth? Who were these beings? How did they know the Telosian language? I am Elder Sook of the Telosian High Council, Sook said, stepping forward. We do not recognize your species or your world. Are you from beyond the galactic registry? The being, Captain Kang, smiled. It was a strange expression, but somehow comforting. You could say that. We humans have been watching the stars for centuries, but we only recently developed the technology to travel between them. We've been observing your situation from the edge of your system. Humans? Tay repeated, already taking notes. You're not in any of our records. No, we wouldn't be, Captain Kang said. Your galactic community never found us. We're from a small solar system in what you might call the unfashionable outer arm of the galaxy. Why have you come here? Commander June asked directly. In their desperate situation, they couldn't afford to waste time. Captain Kang's expression became serious. We've been monitoring your communications. We know about the Giklar attacks. We know the Galactic Council has abandoned you. The humans knew. They had been watching as the Telosians suffered. And? Elder Sook asked, a slight edge in her voice. And we want to help, Captain Kang said simply. My ship is the first of many. Earth wants to form an alliance with the Telosian people. Disbelief filled the room. After so many rejections, after being mocked and abandoned by the entire galaxy, these strangers, these humans, wanted to help? Why would you help us? June asked, suspicious. What do you want in return? Captain Kang nodded as if expecting the question. A fair exchange. We offer military support and strategic knowledge. In return, we hope to learn from your advanced science and rich culture. Before anyone could respond, another alarm blared. Giklar scout ship detected, called a voice over the communication system. They're approaching the outer moon. They're charging weapons. Panic filled the council chamber. A Giklar attack now. With this new potential ally watching, it would show their weakness, their helplessness. But Captain Kang didn't look concerned. Instead, the human touched something on a device on their wrist. Pathfinder to Telosian command. Please don't worry. We'll handle this. Consider it a demonstration of our good faith. The screen split to show the area near the outer moon. The Giklar scout ship, a red blade-shaped vessel known for its speed and deadly attacks, was moving fast toward a Telosian research station. Then, Suddenly, the human ship, the Pathfinder, appeared. It moved with incredible speed, placing itself between the Geeklar ship and the moon. The Geeklar fired, but somehow the shots didn't hit the human ship. What just happened? June asked, amazed. Some kind of deflection technology, Tay said, studying the readings. They bent the energy beams away. The Pathfinder then fired something small toward the Geeklar ship. Not an energy beam like most weapons, but some kind of physical object. When it hit the Geeklar ship, electricity danced across its hull. The ship's lights flickered and died. It drifted, powerless. Within minutes, the Geeklar ship was disabled. Not destroyed, disabled. The council chamber was silent with shock. The Geeklar, who had been destroying them for months, had just been defeated in minutes by a ship they'd never seen before. The screen changed back to show Captain Kang. The human wasn't boasting or gloating. They simply looked calm and professional. Neither Geeklar crew is unharmed, but their ship will need major repairs. We can discuss our potential alliance now if you're ready. Commander June looked at Elder Suk. For the first time in months, he saw something in her eyes that had been missing. Hope. The galaxy has mocked us for too long, June said quietly. Perhaps it's time they learned that Telosians choose their friends wisely.